Hey everyone, Rob from Southgate Media Group here. Before we get started with this podcast, we have a quick message. If this is your first time checking out the show, we love that you found us and we really hope you enjoy it. What we have to say is for the subscribers, if you enjoy our shows, would you please donate to help keep these going? We don't want to have to put traditional ads on these shows, but this does cost money, so we really do rely heavily on donations. To make a donation to the show, please go to our website, www.southgatemediagroup.com. Go to the page for the show, and in the upper right-hand corner is a donate button. It takes you right to PayPal, and you can donate whatever amount you want. Thanks a lot for listening, everybody. And now, on with the show.
Heroes, as well as the upcoming show Heroes Reborn, which is basically a sequel/revival. I'm Lilith, and on the hunt for Ashes with me, as always, is
Ricky. Hello.
No bad Irish accent?
No, not today. No.
Up for discussion today is episode 306. Dying of the light, more like dying of the series. Am I right, ladies and gentlemen?
Dying of the boredom.
Just my goodness. So that's what we're talking about. We're in the ho-hum section of the first volume of season 3. So, just bear with us. It gets better after these next 2 episodes.
This is kind of reminding me of like season 1 Nikki episodes. You remember that Nikki filler episode? That's what it kind of reminds me of. It's needed, but at the same time...
It's without the Jessica. Nobody got shot.
I know, right? I know.
Well, not yet anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so let's get straight into the recap here. Let's see. The original air date for this is October 20th, 2008. It was written by Chuck Kim and Christopher Zada. Hey, Zada. And it was directed by Daniel Attias.
Yes.
So what about that synopsis, Ricky?
Hiro and others accept offers to join the Pinehurst Company. After the company is paralyzed, Peter goes to Pinehurst, its rival, for information. Claire and Sandra try to save Meredith from Doyle, one of the escaped villains. Nathan and Tracy come to Mahinda to learn where their abilities come from.
Major players and plot points. Oh boy. Nothing we really didn't cover in the recap this time, other than Sylar and Peter seeking answers to, quote-unquote, their mother's coma.
I know, right? Whilst watching this, because I always do like a pre-watch before the live tweets, because I can never really make notes during the live tweets because I'm too busy snarking on everything. But this is like the least amount of notes I wrote, like for a Heroes episode. I think there's literally like 2 or 3 lines. So yeah, let's see how this goes.
Let's see. Important people, places, and things that we can talk about. There's literally 2 things. And I don't think we need to go over Peter's power absorption. So let's talk about Arthur's team.
Yes.
Also referred to as the bad guys, apparently.
I know, right? Ugh.
Just heroes. I mean, like, who do we have? We have Arthur himself.
Yes. We have Knox, who, let's be real, is always going to be a bad guy because of his powers. Because his powers stem from fear. And that's it.
Which is lame. You get strength from other people's fear.
I know,
really?
Right? And also, another one of his powers seems to be telling people what his powers are every episode. Just as a reminder. Like, I think in this episode, it had him and Adam walking down the corridor, being so, what's your powers? And he's like, well, I get blah, 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 blah. And then, so...
It's because you would forget if they didn't tell us. It's like, who is this? Dude, doesn't he look like a distant relative of... What do you call that one guy, the replicating guy in Heroes Reborn?
Oh, Cloney McGinty, yeah.
Yeah, Cloney McGinty. This is like his cousin on his mother's side.
We've got
I'm concerned.
We've got a name for Cloney McGinty now, but I'm going to leave it at Cloney McGinty for the meantime because I like that.
So we have to every single time. Yeah. Anyway, we got Daphne Millbrook.
Yes.
We got Flint Gordon Jr.
This episode is essentially just what? More recruiting for Pinehurst. And
Basically.
it's Daphne on the run, getting more and more people to join Pinehurst. People who we don't really know are the villains. Well, we haven't seen them be the villains, quote unquote, from the show, because obviously we've got that little aside in the first couple of episodes where Angela sees what we think are the villains for the point of the show, where she has that dream. So, yeah, it's just adding more and more people to the ranks, basically.
Yeah, this episode is so boring
Yeah.
for the most part. Arthur's team, though, like, this is the lamest set of villains I've seen since in X-Men. What was it? X-Men 2. Like, he was gathering all the mutants, and they're like, there's only like 4 level 5s in here.
I know, right? And who have we got? We've got Flint, who is Texan, as we know, or he's from the South. He's got an accent. Got Knox.
Meredith kind of doesn't. She
Yeah.
lost it.
Exactly. I don't know who else do. Yeah. We've got all these people who are just like one note kind of characters. They're just their powers, and that's it. You don't really get much else. They try and do a bit more for like Knox, because obviously they've given him the webisode, which is essentially just cut scenes from the show. And the only person we really know anything about is Daphne, but that's because of her link to Matt at this point. So yeah, this is kind of the start of her starting to see things a bit differently. She starts to see that Pinehurst might not be the happy-go-lucky place that she wants to be working at. And it starts off at the beginning with Hiro stabbing Ando in like probably the most unconvincing scene of this episode, where he is just repeating the word badass. Yeah, it's really weird.
Yeah, this episode was so tedious. I think the only thing I really actually want to talk about is idiotic Claire and Sandra doing the one of us, one of them to rescue Meredith. And like personally, I would have been like, oh, I'm sure she'll come home if I was Sandra. Like, I wouldn't go chasing after her.
No, I think if there's anything that is good about these past couple of episodes is the resurgence of Mama Bennett, like coming to the front and trying to be a bit more badass. Sure, it's not like HRG kind of levels of good, but at least she's trying, and she's trying to protect her girl the only way she knows how, by putting herself in danger and making her save her. So yeah.
Right? It's like, this cannot end well at all. But it kind of sort of does, and that's the saving grace of this episode, I guess.
Yeah, we get the usual monster of the week with
Doyle,
who is actually really quite creepy, but he's also a bit dumb, because why would the first place you go back to be your theatre after you've escaped level 5? It's the first place that probably anyone...
creatures of habit, though. Like, it's like when you watch a horror movie, they're like, why are you going up the stairs? But it's like instinctual in our primate brain that, trees are higher ground. So like, it's like all these tropes, but there is actually psychology behind it.
Mm.
It's corny and cheesy, yes, but there is psychology behind it, which is why it gets done over and over and over again.
So what did you think of Doyle as a character? I think he's the one kind of villain who's kind of bad. Like, he's really... And I think the creepiness of him kind of makes him really kind of weird. It doesn't help that he's surrounded by puppets all the time, and they're probably one of the freakiest and creepiest things around, but yeah.
Not just puppets, not like Sesame Street puppets, like marionette dolls, okay? Ooh,
Definitely.
articulated joints on screen. It's just not a good thing. Almost as bad as clowns. I mean, it's really funny how we actually don't learn that much about Doyle in the actual show, even though he like comes up time and time again.
Yeah.
We kind of learn most of the stuff through the graphic novels. Am I mistaken?
Yeah, and he also, he comes back a couple of times. Like, he's got his own kind of webisode, which is the most difficult thing to find on the internet. And also, he comes back in like season 4, like just in the background. But yeah, you find out more about his backstory in the thing. Here he just seems like an absolute creeper, but it also kind of makes you think about what Meredith was doing beforehand, because they obviously know each other, and how do they know each other? And it's something that gets answered in a couple of episodes.
Yeah.
I did like the whole Russian roulette part of it, that he's the instigator of. Like, his powers are kind of weird. Like, it's kind of like he's got Matt Parkman's kind of telepathy kind of thing, because he controls people. But it's obviously very different. But I do like that kind of, that Russian roulette with the gun in the middle. And it's obviously, Mama Bennett knows that her daughter can't die. But obviously it still kind of tears her up inside having to shoot her own daughter in order to kind of save them. So yeah, I really like that scene. And it gives us Mama Bennett being kind of emotional. I like it.
You know who kind of reminded me of her when she first showed up? Felicity's mom on Arrow. I was like, this is total Mama Bennett.
Oh, yeah.
That's always a good thing. It's never any shade when I say something like that. Just so we're clear. Oh, God. The Hiro and Ando were so insufferable in this episode.
Oh, definitely. They were trying to bring Hiro back to his old school comedy roots, but it just really didn't pay off that well. Like, what was it Yuasu said that he was doing? He was trying to teach Hiro not to rely on his powers. It was really tedious watching it.
Over and over. I'm like, please stop.
And there's a line that Ando says where it's like, he essentially says, do you remember when we first started this? All you were doing was trying to look for a formula. Now we're like kidnapping people and killing people. And it's just like, Jesus, that was like, 5 episodes ago? It seems ages ago that they were just looking on the hunt for like this formula.
Oh, God. Oh, it's just so bad. It's like, oh, now you have to go into a meditative trance too?
Yeah, and what happened to him, like, only painting Parkman? Do you know what I'm saying? It was like Parkman was his muse, and he was the only one that he could kind of see, and it just kind of came out of
you know what
nowhere.
happened?
What?
He met Parkman and said, I wasted my life painting this. Moving on.
And it just seems like whoever he, like, has to paint turns up being really rubbish in the end, but yeah. And that hurts me to say, being a Hiro fan. That hurts.
This part of season 3, he is definitely not on, like, par to be lovable and likable. Like, he gets really annoying and tedious in this part of the season, and that's unfortunate. It's because of the conflict with Ando. Like I said, it had to happen, I guess. I mean, for sake of drama and contrived drama and whatnot, but
it seems like they're all good now after he stabbed him. You know, it seems like they're all good. But, you know, I can't really remember what happened, so we'll see how that carries on.
But it comes up again and again.
Yeah.
So, you know, there it is. The best part about this episode is that we learned that the bar's name is the Angry Skunk. It's like the best part. Anyway, what else can we talk about? Like, there's literally not much to talk about besides Adam showing up at Pinehurst.
And yeah, oh God.
Arthur's just like, I need this!
Yeah, it's so bad. Like, let's rewind for a minute here. Season 2, Adam is the big bad, and he's brought back for 2 episodes, completely changed, and then killed off in like the span of 5 minutes of screen time, maybe 10 minutes at most. I think it's a real disservice to what the character of Adam could have been. You know, I even said like on the live tweets, you could have been so good, but you weren't.
And, like, they never answer the question. It's like, okay, Adam was doing all of that with the help of Maury, but he didn't know that. So, was Maury actually technically pulling his strings, or what? Like, I just need some answers.
But we're never gonna get it.
And so, I guess I'm to believe, I guess we're also kind of sort of led to believe that Pinehurst is the company, but it's never explicitly stated was the one that saved Sylar. But then, like, why was Kansas working for Pinehurst?
And then working for the company.
Before she was working for Linderman. So it's just like, ugh, so many unanswered questions, and they pretty much died with Adam.
Yeah, the only thing I can kind of think of is that Maury and Adam were working together. There was, like, no bigger bad. It was just him. And then when Maury got put in the dream-like state, he was saved by Arthur somehow. And then he just came and started working, because he's a henchman, isn't he? He's not like
professional henchman.
Yeah, so he just went and started working for Arthur. So that's the only thing that I can think of as well. But your one makes more sense, that, you know, the Pinehurst were kind of trying to grab Sylar for themselves, but yeah.
Yeah. And this is also the one where, you know, Matt meets Daphne and convinces her that they're meant to be together.
Oh my God, it was so stalkery.
With Maury in the background, literally pulling the string.
Like, Creeper West was before. Now it's kind of Creeper Parkman, because he's just really desperate.
And I'm having a hard time believing that Customs let him keep that turtle.
Yeah, it's just weird. When he's talking to her, he just suddenly just makes her a victim. And, you know, he's there saying, I've got to protect you. I will protect you. And she's like, I don't need you. Obviously, he knows what's going to happen. But at the same time, it's like what I've said before. There's no, like, room to breathe in any of these episodes, because he meets her, he says hello, and then they sit down, and the first thing he says is, yeah, I had a dream about you in the future. We got together, we got married, blah, blah, blah. And he just, like, piles it all on her, and it's like, oh, man, come on.
Gotta woo a lady, man.
I know,
She's
right?
not Janice, even though they keep trying to make her be Janice.
Uh,
Janice placeholder, whatever.
I think this is about the time that, like, they started cutting some of the writers, and, like, I think this is around about the time kind of Jeff Loeb left and someone else left. So I don't know if that's got anything to do with it, because obviously...
Oh, when Jeff Loeb left, it hurt my soul. You don't even know.
But it's obviously like, you know, Tim's just a showrunner. All he does is break the stories, then pass it off onto other people. But, you know, at the end of the day, he still has, like, kind of...
He's the overarching story and where the characters are going, where they start and where they end.
Yeah. He should be, like, reading some of this stuff and just being like, yeah, this is a bit too quick. But, you know, what can you do? It seems like the writer's strike hurt them a lot, because they were just, like, clamoring for the ratings, because it started to go downhill around about this time, didn't it, as well?
Yep. So they're doing any and everything they could to see what stuck to the wall.
And it just seemed like they were in a bind. It just seems like they're writing all this stuff and just, like, winging it as they go along, and kind of, oh yeah, we can make this link, but this is like 2 or 3 episodes afterwards. Like in season 1, they kind of have hints of everything, but here it's just like, it just seems like they are just throwing everything at the wall, hoping anything sticks, and then trying to go back afterwards and trying to retcon it to try and make it make sense.
Yeah. Like, the worst thing in this episode, though, is when she goes to visit Sylar in his cell. And I'm like, just take her power, Sylar. It's okay. I don't even care anymore.
Yeah. Speaking of Sylar and Peter face off. And I did like the fact that they had, like, that little scrap, and it wasn't behind closed doors. And it just kind of showed you the difference between Peter and Sylar. Like, before, Sylar had all these kind of powers, and Peter didn't really know how to use them. Now, Peter's the one who's, like, pretty much fully in control of his powers and able to take down Sylar. But also at the same time, it's the difference of his powers. Like, we know that the only offensive power that kind of Sylar has at this moment is telekinesis, whereas Peter's just letting them all run out, like flight, followed up by the electricity, followed up by the super punch. Like, yeah, I really liked it.
I also didn't like when Daphne, like, comes to Mohinder's apartment. You know what I mean? I'm like, he's not really a bad guy. He's just misguided and easily manipulated.
But it seems like she's just getting all these names and going to them and knowing exactly what to say to them to kind of bring them in. She doesn't really believe in what she's saying. Even, like, Matt says it himself, like, you know, it doesn't sound like you believe your own pitch. And I think that's one of the reasons why she's just, like, giving general assumptions to try and get people to join Pinehurst.
My favorite thing, though, is when Tracy and Nathan go see Mohinder, and he thinks that it's Tracy for a brief second, and he's like, yeah, sure, I can help you. Cocoon on the wall! And I was like, please stay there for the rest of the season.
And yeah, that's really all we can talk about, huh? Apart from the ending, obviously, which gives us Peter and Arthur the kind of daddy moment, taking his powers.
Takes away his powers. And I was like, wait, what?
Yeah. I thought it was kind of interesting for a hot minute, because, you know, you've got Peter now who's got no powers. He's like basically our protagonist at this point, and here he is just having to rely on his smarts, which isn't really saying much. But yeah, I kind of like...
I would have never hugged Arthur Petrelli.
Oh yeah.
I would have went invisible and took off again. Like, nah, nothing good could come of this. You're supposed to be dead.
But also, they've also taken away the hunger from him, which, you know, it was something that they had to do because he couldn't be emo Peter for the rest of the season. So yeah, at least it kind of got rid of...
It would have been a better choice. But I mean, I understand I don't know that they plan to do what they did in season 4 with his powers, but maybe that was part of it. So this is why I give this whole situation the benefit of the doubt, because I think it was a little bit of a better choice and it depowered him a bit. Yeah,
definitely. But then you've also got to take into account that we have 4 really superbly overpowered people at this point. Mm-hmm. So yeah.
I agree.
But you know what? We're 15 minutes in, and I think I'm done. I think I'm done with this episode, so yeah.
Yeah, we are. Like, there's not even anything to really discuss besides trivia in the graphic novel. That's just weird. So let's just do the review, dude. You know, it happens. We take it as it comes, bro.
Yeah, why not?
Best character.
I'm going to go with... I don't even know. No one really sticks out. I might have to just even go with... No, I don't. I don't know.
I'm gonna go with Claire.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, she did kind of save the day.
Yeah, I think I'm going to go with Mama Petrelli because she's the only thing that kind of is the shining ray of light in this, even though she does do stupid things. She's the one, I think, who saves the day because she shoots Claire. And then,
Ouch!
And then best character interaction, I've got to go with that kind of four-person scene with two moms, Claire and Doyle, and where he's talking about them, and he's just like, oh, so this is your mom, and then who's this? She's not old enough to be like your sister, so who are you? The cool, fun aunt who like has the pyrokinetic abilities, and I really kind of liked it, because for me, I don't know if this is like what they were thinking, but like for me, it's just like them kind of having a go at the fans who might have complained that Meredith looked too young to be Claire's mom at that point or something like that. So yeah, I really liked it.
Well, she was like 18 when they
Yeah.
bare minimum. So, okay, whatever. I mean, I just took it at face value, They were young and in love and had a love child.
Definitely, yeah.
Let's see, for me, best character interaction. This tells you how bad the episode is. Matt and the turtle. High five. Give me a high five.
Fair enough.
Best scene.
Oh,
Peter getting his powers taken away. I'm sorry.
Yeah, especially when it comes to the next episode and you see someone else get their powers taken away. As bad as it sounds, the difference in the acting of it is great, because he's obviously very distraught about how his powers being taken away, and the person in the next one is kind of just like confused, scared. It's weird. I don't know how to differentiate, but yeah, I really liked it.
What about lines?
I will go with High Five Turtle, probably.
Okay, for me, it's Hiro and Ando. Now you know what it's like to kill your best friend. Okay, now we're even, and I'm like, not even close, buddy. Not even close.
They might as well just said, okay, now that storyline's done. For now.
I know.
In brackets.
Dun, dun, dun.
You see, yeah.
Oh, God. Best moment. Next week on Heroes.
Yeah. I don't know, just for the sheer visual of it all, Adam kind of dying. Just for the visual, like him becoming really old and then like fading away. I would have liked to have seen him I think what would have been more interesting is if he had become human and not aged and just been like in the background as like, not the background, but he would have been like a villain as a human, and see how he had adapted, from like this guy who'd been like being able to die over and over again to a guy who's kind of like suddenly having to worry about dying. But yeah.
Is this a cold?
Yeah.
What? Blue shot.
Exactly.
Yeah, I don't even know. I couldn't even tell you my favorite moment, because this episode is so forgettable.
Yeah.
Like, I literally just watched this last night, and I'm just like struggling.
Yeah.
You want to talk highlights, lowlights? I just say that the biggest lowlight is that it's so forgettable, and while it seems like a lot happened, it was everybody kind of just spinning their wheels at the end of the day.
Definitely. I think also continuity-wise is a low light for me, because, like, obviously Hiro said, like, he's never going to go back in time again, but literally in the first 2 minutes he goes back in time, or even though it's like a couple of minutes or like an hour ago, he's still kind of going back and rectifying something to come back into the future. It's weird, but yeah. It's something that comes up
Hiro
again.
too.
Yeah. It comes up again in the next episode, but what can you do?
Great.
I'm going to have to probably go with a D minus, something quite low.
Yep. I agree, sir.
It's just...
it's a bad episode when we both agree it's a D.
Just because of how forgettable the episode is.
Trivia in graphic novels.
You know what? I don't even have any trivia, because one of the trivia says this is the first episode to feature no new characters, but I still kind of class Doyle as a new character at this point, because we only just saw a brief moment of him. The title of the episode is either related to George R.R. Martin's science fiction novel containing the same title, or it could be drawn from Dylan Thomas's poem.
It's not the poem.
Oh, okay.
Not the poem. George R. R. Martin.
Oh.
It's Germs. Little fiction, science fiction novel. Shout out to the Song of Ice and Fire people. All right, so graphic novel.
So the graphic novels that I found were the Quod Sum, which kind of leads into the next episode. So yeah, it's part 1 and part 2. The first part is basically Elle is quote unquote studying abroad because she never really got a chance to live a real life. She's always been sheltered by the company. It's her going to London, and you don't really know why she's in London, but you know that she started to lose control of her powers, and she's also being watched by Daphne at the same time. Daphne offers her the cards, which is something they bring up in the next episode, and it's her kind of following someone, and you think it's these two people who she's watching, but at the end, Mr. Invisible, Claude Rains himself, pops out of the shadows and asks her what she's looking for, and it's obvious she's been trying to find Claude this whole time. So yes, the only bit of trivia I've got is that the episode title means I am what I am in Latin. There's a password for the assignment tracker for Doyle. The couple sitting in with an empty chair between them in the stadium, and on the bus are Oliver Grigsby and his fiancée Abby. JC Badower drew them in as an engagement present. Two people sit next to Elle on the bus, and they're caricatures of two of Jason Badower's friends. He drew them in as a birthday present, and he's also mentioned them kind of in other graphic novels that he's written.
What a cheapskate. Never, like, dude, seriously, never be friends with writers and comic book, like, artists and stuff, because they'll, like, write your name in it, they'll make, like, a whole story for you, and meanwhile, they're getting paid for it, and then call that a gift to you. This recently happened to me. I have a writer friend who just decided to name check me, and I was just like, oh, thanks, but that doesn't count for my birthday present, sorry. So, yeah, the story was by Oliver Grigsby, and get a picture of Robert Forster.
Sweet. Okay, next up is part 2, and all it is, it's Claude kind of believing that Elle's powers are shorting out because of her dad dying, and it's the kind of emotional baggage that she's carrying about, you know, either hating or loving her dad, and it ends up with her having a misunderstanding with one of Claude's people, and it leads her to leave, and it ends with her arriving at the Bennett household and meeting Lyle, your favourite. So yeah, the only trivia is that there is a password for Claude Rains' assignment tracker in there. At the beginning of the novel, Lee is wearing a shirt which has a kind of writing on it, and it's a shout out to one of Oliver Grigsby's friends. And Oliver actually asked Jason to carry on referencing it whenever they work together, and it will pop up more and more.
Exclamation point!
There you go! Exclamation point 404. That pops up a lot more. So yeah, that's it.
The Easter egg is a behind-the-scenes image of Sunil, Zachary Quinto, Robert Foster, and Ron Perkins doing God knows what. So, like, listener feedback.
The following people joined us on the live tweet. They were either tweeting, retweeting, or faving. I have Mr. Man 92, Nemesis HD, Karakaku, United Matt LAA 91, English Idiot 101, John Joe _Randall, Paraceline, Soft _Guitar 60, and Demetria Mills 3.
Like it's time for some shameless plugs and self-promotion. We'll start with the show contact info. We here at Primatech Files love listener feedback. If you would like to get a hold of us, we have a ton of ways. You can email us via primatechfiles@gmail.com. You can leave us a private message or interact with our posts over on facebook.com/primatechfiles. We live tweet 2 episodes per week every Saturday starting at 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. For more information, be sure to follow us on Twitter @PrimatechFiles. You can also find us on Clamor, Tumblr, and YouTube by simply searching for Primatech Files. If you enjoy this podcast, be sure to rate, review, and subscribe to us on iTunes. What's that? You don't have an iTunes account? That's okay. We're on a lot of podcatcher services such as Stitcher and SoundCloud. All you have to do is search for, you guessed it, Primatech Files. We're also on Libsyn. And if you want to follow our RSS feed there, all you have to do is go to primatechfiles.libsyn.com and bookmark the site to stay up to date with this podcast. Libsyn is spelled Libsyn, just in case you were wondering. We look forward to interacting with you.
If you love our podcast, be sure to check out Southgate Media Group's iTunes provider page to see a list of what other podcasts are hot and trending in our network. Or you can take that one step further and visit southgatemediagroup.com, where you can find a full list of our 80 plus podcasts, along with weekly blogs and information about all the hosts. With so many podcasts that cover everything from anime to wrestling, there's sure to be tons of podcasts that could interest you.
Hey guys, you should know by now that you can find me on Twitter at Lilith Hellfire. If you have a Tumblr, be sure to check out it's lilithhellfire.tumblr.com. And of course, be sure to swing by my blog if you are a pop culture junkie or comic book geek at littlepopculturevulture.blogspot.com. I also host several other podcasts on the Southgate Media Group network. Some of them are The Flashpoint, Queen Consolidated, and Channel 52. So if you are into, obviously, DC comic book related stuff, be sure to check it out.
You can find my writings at tvbinges.com. It's a place for all your binge watching needs, and you can also create your own TV binge and we'll help promote it. We do a monthly binge watch, which you're more than welcome to join in. Just go to their Twitter at tvbinges just to find out more information. You can find me on Twitter at RickyJDS. That's RICKYJDIAZ, or Z if you're American.
Looks like we're at the wrap up. That's all we have for you on this installment of Common Tech Files. We hope you've enjoyed our discussion, for lack thereof, of episode 306, Dying of the Light. Please remember to keep sending in those emails. Don't be afraid to interact with us on our Facebook post. And when you can, join in on our weekly live streams. Ricky, you know what to do.
Download the podcast, save the world.